I'm Mara.
I'm Spencer.
We're Chile, Colorado.
And this is our ranchita.
Today we're talking about seed snails. This year we're really excited to bring you seed snails, and this whole video is going to show us planting them out, showing you the root structure, and giving you some tips on planting, mulching, and staking. We're really excited about seed snails because of a few reasons. One is that it uses so much less plastic in the greenhouse than what we are accustomed to as farmers. We can use some upcycled foam, which is really efficient, and you can reuse it over and over. Also, it uses a lot less soil than seedling trays. And the plants just grow beautifully. They have incredible root structure. And lastly, they take up a lot less room in the greenhouse than a normal seedling tray would. So all in all, it's just a really sweet little package. Garden collection snail with hand-picked varieties by us of all sorts of plants that we know will grow great in a 4x8 bed. We're going to walk you through what's in the snail and how the spacing works in the 4x8 bed with all of these plants. I want to talk a little bit about bed prep. We have here a 4x8 bed, which is what we're going to plant the seed snail into. We made it easy to show you what a 4x8 looks like by doing some strings, 4 squares by 8 squares. Definitely don't need to do this, but it's a little bit illustrative when you're trying to figure out spacing. Don't need to do strings, but you could even just map it out and mark it with your finger just so you can kind of have an idea of where things should go. This particular bed is a raised bed that we know is pretty weedy, so we actually put a layer of paper underneath this compost here just to have as a little weed barrier that goes away during the season. Definitely don't need to do that, but some fertility is important, so we often suggest putting a handful of compost in the hole when you plant your plants. But we sort of did that ahead of time for ourselves by putting it on top.
I'm going to open up the seed snail and we're going to roll it out onto this bed. Plant the bed behind me. I'm going to tear this. Try not to tear the PDF or the QR code that links to our PDF and to this video. So I'm going to start unrolling. Just being careful with the plant. Tear the tape. Okay. And now we're just going to keep all the leaves, sort of separate them out. And we'll see all the different kinds of plants we have in here. All right, with it all rolled out, I'm going to go through and identify what we've got here in the seed snail, since it's a mixed snail. On the outside here, we've got cilantro. Next to that is a zucchini. This one is a yellow zucchini. And we have 4 cucumbers, little cucumber seedlings. Then these here, basil plants. Next to the mountain spirit tomato, which is a larger sort of slicing tomato. This one is called Be My Baby cherry tomato. Then we got 16 plants of 4 different varieties of lettuce. Next to the lettuce, we have apple pepper. It's a sweet pepper. We have a fish, which is a little hot pepper. Then we have 24 tropea onion starts. I'm going to separate the plants out from their seed snail and put them roughly where they're going to go. I'm going to grab these onions and just kind of move them over here to where they're going to go map. All right, when you're taking these out of their seed snail, you just have to tease the roots apart a little bit. Don't worry if there's a little bit of tearing, but just set these guys apart. And then I'm going to take these lettuces, take them as a group, put them over in their spot. All right, take these little tomatoes out, separate them from the basils. Really nice root development there. This one's the little baby, Be My Baby, and this one's Mountain Spirit, so we're going to put them in their spots here. Right here's the peppers. This is fish. This is apple. We'll put fish here. And set aside these herbs. This is the basil right here, and then take the little cilantros. Just being gentle. I mean, it's a little bit of messing with the roots, but here's the cucumbers. They're going to go in this section here. We'll get them going, and then yellow zook and green zucchini. Those are going to go here and here.
It's time to plant, and we're going to start with the Be My Baby cherry tomato. I just want to take a moment to appreciate the beautiful roots that seed snail allow this plant to have, and give you some thoughts on how to get the most out of your planting. Tomatoes love to be planted really deep. All these little hairs on the stem turn into roots. So the deeper you plant, the more root structure you get, which means more nutrient grabbing capacity, more water grabbing capacity, and more stability. So you want to maximize that as much as you can. So that requires a little bit of pruning, and you take off the little bottom leaves. The idea is to not tear the leaves, but to snip them. A fingernail is good enough, and that's done. You're done pruning now. And then with the planting, you want to dig a hole as deep as you have here on your plant. So my soil's pretty sandy. I should be able to just dig this by hand. I have, I think, a deep enough hole here. Like I mentioned earlier, we put compost on top because we wanted it to, we just knew this bed needed that. But you can just put a handful of compost in the actual hole. Try not to disturb the roots too much, and go ahead and plant your plant as deep as we mentioned. Just really even, you can go to the bottom of the leaves that remain with soil. Give it a little hug there at the end. Make sure it's good and snug. There we go. That's a planted tomato plant.
All right, now I'm going to plant the peppers, and we do the same thing pretty much. Just pluck off some of the lower leaves, leaving a few at the top, and plant them pretty deep. I'm going to put this right here. This is the apple variety, the sweet pepper. And put it down there. Next is these little cucumbers, Tasty Jade cucumbers, and I'm just going to carefully separate these out. They don't need to be very deep. In fact, they don't like to be very deep on their stems, so it's just going to put them about as deep as they were in the seed snail. Leave a little bit of their stem still up. This one has two. One little one and one big one. I'm going to plant them both right here, and we'll see. We may thin them later. We'll see how they do. So we have spots on our plan for 3, but we planted 4 in the seed snail just to make sure we got the right amount. So you can leave it in there if you want. Okay, in our plan that we developed with this seed snail, we have 2 options for spacing. We have one where the squashes go in the middle, and that's our plan, is to stake them and give them some trellis to climb on. So the cucumbers will give up some cages to climb up, and the squashes we're going to try staking them to a T-post this year. So that's our staked cucumbers and zucchini plan. If you don't want to stake that, if we were not going to train them in that way, we would use the other plan that we provided with this seed snail, which would have the cucumbers and the squash on another edge, so that they could trail off and sprawl out off of the bed, have a little bit more room to work with, because the cucumbers do like to sprawl out. So that's another option. You don't have to follow this plan exactly, but we're going to play around with staking these squash. So we're going to test this out and have them in the middle so they can climb high. So this one I'm just going to plant, see how long it is. I'm not going to plant it all the way up to the top. I'm going to plant it about halfway up this stem. I'll do the same with this one. This is the yellow zucchini, Goldini. All right, now we're going to plant the onions, and there's 3 rows in this 1 foot space, so it's 4 square feet across, and 3 rows about 6 inches apart. I'm going to tease apart these onions here like this, and just put 1 in each of my little marked out spots, just like that. I've marked the spots for the lettuce in these squares, just like on our little PDF. Just one, it's pretty easy because it is just 1 in each corner, and it makes a nice little hex pattern that gives the plants about 10 inches between plants, which is a great size for these heads that we've chosen. We have 4 different varieties of lettuce here. You can kind of see the difference. There's a red one, there's this frilly leafed one, and then there's a couple of different kinds of gem lettuces with the smooth leaves. We're just going to tease these apart again, kind of like just pulling them apart gently, like I'm opening a book or something like that. Just pulling them apart. If they lose a few roots, that's okay, they'll recover. But we want to minimize that as much as possible, just sort of pulling them gently apart. You can keep them in with their varieties, or you can mix them up. All right, I've separated them all and laid them all out. Now we're just going to plant them. If there are broken or cracked leaves, you can remove those. But we're just going to plant them just up to the depth that they were originally growing. They grow out of the center, so we don't want to cover the center of the plant. So I'm going to put this one right here. I just love giving them a little tuck in like that. Let's try this one. Look, it's got a bunch of loose roots. Just drop those into the hole and just kind of tuck them around. Tuck them in. All right, we planted all the things except for these herbs that we have left. And they can be tucked around in various spots. You can see that there is some space between plants. These plants will fill in that space, but before they get too big, we can tuck in a few herbs to have a little earlier on, and with the mindfulness that they may last all season. So for example, these basils will last the whole season. They'll keep producing basil as long as you keep trimming them back. So I'm going to put those sort of on the edge here where we can keep track of them. So the basil, I'm going to just tuck it down in there. I'm planting 2 plants right here together. They'll be fine. They don't mind being together. This tomato and this pepper will fill in, so they might compete for space a little bit, but we can these basils will kind of hang off the edge a little bit. All right, I'm going to continue tucking the basil around and then do the cilantro. All right, the last thing is the cilantro. Now these are very small. We just planted them because if they get too big, they can bolt really fast. So this is a good size to be putting them into the garden right now. They like being in clusters, so I'm gonna gently pull some apart and they're kind of floppy, but we're going to put them right here as a group, just as a cluster like this. Tease them apart a little bit, but yeah. And those will grow quite quickly, and they'll be done kind of quickly as well. So once these tomatoes fill in, these cilantro plants might be done, but you can replant, or you can let them go to seed and they'll replant themselves. We planted everything out, and now we just have this piece of foam that we use to roll it up. Take the tape off. I can just roll this up. We can make a seed snail from it next year. It hasn't degraded at all, so it'll can also bring it back to us, and we'll reuse it again next year as well. So that is planting out a seed snail.
One of the things that happens in early season gardens is everything likes to eat tender greens and tender stems. One of those things is a cutworm. We're able to protect our plants with just the simple tool of a toilet paper roll or a paper towel roll. I cut paper towels into 4s, and I cut toilet paper rolls in half. It's important to get it around the plant and snuggle deeply under the soil, just to create a barrier. So if a cutworm's walking along, it bumps into that rather than the stem, and it doesn't munch your stem. So I'm going to show you how to do it on a tomato. Very gently pull it up, and you're going to want to do this the day you plant. Definitely on the day you plant. It'll be harder because the plants are going to start growing almost immediately, and then they'll be too unwieldy to give them a little protective collar. I snuggle it around, and then just make sure that there's no little bridge for the worm to cross. So that's a perfectly placed one. Pretty much all the plants would appreciate this. Doing it to the pepper now. Snuggle down, snuggle down. Perfect. Even the basil, we all know how tender and delicious basil can be. The worms love it too. So this is a great way to protect your plants so that you get to eat them. Snuggled in. That should do it. Thanks for planting your seed snails along with us. It's going to take a couple of weeks before you see measurable growth. It takes about that long for the roots to get established and the plants to start building nutrients and growing.
That's what we're going to do. We're going to let our plants grow for a couple weeks, and then we'll post another video about how they're doing, and we'll let you know how our garden is growing. And we'd love to hear how yours is too.
Happy growing.